Have you ever struggled to get the low register to speak on your horn? Yes? Well, so did I. Let me help you in this video to get them out of your saxophone easier through checking the most common leaks as well as improving your air support and direction. Roll the intro. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Joris and I am a professional saxophone player. On this channel you will be able to find all kinds of saxophone related content. Alright, let's get started. As I said earlier, this video will focus on the lower notes of the saxophone, because I think that many saxophone players experience difficulties with getting these out of their horns. We're going to discuss 3 things in this video to help you get these notes to speak in the future. Feel free to use the timestamps in the description to jump from part to part. First of all, we'll talk about the saxophone itself, because in order to play the low register on the saxophone, it is necessary to have an instrument without leaks. I'll show you where the most common leaks take place, how to find out if your saxophone is leaking, and how to fix it if it is. Afterwards, we're going to talk about the most important thing when playing the saxophone: air. Because air, or rather the lack of air, is responsible 9 out of 10 times for lacking control over the saxophone, just like any other woodwind instrument. Finally, I'm going to share with you my favorite exercise to give your air the right direction. Because let's be honest, it doesn't really matter if you blow a ton of air into the saxophone if you don't do it the right way. I'm going to play this entire video on the alto sax, but it goes without saying that everything I say or play in this video also works on soprano, tenor and baritone. And be assured, it even works on sopranino and bass for those of you wondering. Alright, let's kick things off as promised with the technical aspect. In this video I want to talk about the most common leak on the saxophone, which is the bridge between the left and the right hand, which has a huge influence on how well your saxophone is playing. As you can see, this key here is closing every time you're pressing 4, 5 or 6, meaning that if it doesn't close properly, you will have trouble getting anything under the F or Fa to speak with or without octave key. More on this key later. The next thing that is important, especially for the lower notes, is the G sharp or Sol sharp key. As you all probably know, the G sharp key can be opened by pressing G sharp, but also by pressing the low C sharp, B or B flat keys, or Do sharp, C and Si bemol keys for those of you using the French note name system. But of course, in order to play these lower notes, the G sharp has to be closed again. So you will notice that whenever you press 4, 5 or 6, the G sharp key is forced to close by this little mechanism here. This mechanism is what I like to call the bridge. So as you can see, if this bridge isn't closing properly the G sharp, then you will have a leak when playing a low C sharp, B or B flat, as well as any other note where you press the G sharp key at the same time as 4, 5 or 6. But on the other hand, if this bridge is forcing too much on the G sharp to close it, then the small key above 4, which I mentioned earlier, will not close anymore, which also results in leaks. This is the reason why it is very important that this bridge is perfectly set up. And the best part about it is that you can do it yourself very easily, as the only thing you need to do is adjust this tiny screw right here a little. By the way, do not mistake it with the second screw right underneath, because that one will serve for something else. You want to first adjust the first screw. But Joris, how do I even know if I need to adjust the screw? I have no idea if my saxophone has any leaks or not. Don't worry, I'm going to give you now some ways to check if the bridge on your saxophone is leaking or not. To check if your G sharp is closing properly, play a low C or Do and then slowly open and close the G sharp key by pressing it. If you hear a slight VVV appear, your key is leaking. If you don't, then it isn't. If it is leaking, take a screwdriver and turn on the first screw a little and try again. Repeat this process until you don't hear any VVV anymore. If you want to check if the small key above 4 is leaking, play an F or Fa and then use one finger on your right hand to push on that key and see if you notice a clear difference. If it is easier when you press on it, then it is leaking. Otherwise, guess what? It isn't. If it is leaking, you can turn the first screw the opposite way and loosen it until you get the perfect result. Alternatively, you could also check for leaks by putting lights inside your horn and then closing the keys. If there's any light shining through a key, you have a leak. This is the way most repairmen will work on your saxophone. But I wanted to show you these other tricks anyway, because some of you may not have long enough lights to put into your horn. Like me. I really need to stop this coughing thing. Since COVID it's not really funny anymore, I feel like. Anyway, that's it for this part. If you still have leaks on your saxophone, you might have to bring it to a professional to fix it. But this should really help out quite a few of you guys already. So let's move on to the second part, the air support. If you want to get the low notes to speak on your horn, you have to give it air. And I mean really air. Not this stuff, but more like. Most beginner saxophone players do not nearly blow enough air in their saxophone, and that fact alone is responsible for 90% of the problems they encounter while playing. I will now tell you what most saxophone teachers have told me when I was learning the saxophone. Blow! Okay, I think you've got the message. Let me teach you now my favorite exercise to help you not only blow more air into the horn, but also blow it into it the right way. Wait, so there's a right and a wrong way? I thought you just said to simply give more air. Yes, you need to blow more air, but the direction in which you blow is equally important. Most saxophone players forget this part and think that if they take a fingering on a saxophone and blow into it, that note is going to come out of it. This is actually completely wrong. Here's an example of things you can do with one fingering and just changing the air direction. So in order to fix all this, you need to learn the right air direction for every note you're going to play on the saxophone. And this is where the exercise I'm going to teach you in just a second comes in clutch. But before I'm going to teach you this exercise, please consider subscribing to the channel if you got any value out of this video. But why should I bother subscribing? I already get all the value out of this video anyway. Well, yes, but if you subscribe, you're also going to see all of my new videos and you're going to get more free value in the future. So unless you won't be interested in improving your sax playing tomorrow or next week anymore, you definitely should subscribe. Oh, gotcha. By the way, subscribing as well as liking and commenting are all possible with a normal Google account. So you probably don't even need to create a new account. Just click the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified by my future uploads. Thank you. Alright, so let's continue with the video. May I present you the magical exercise that is going to solve all your low note problems and even more. Alright, yes, I know what you're thinking. What the hell is this? This exercise consists in inversing the role of the octave key, meaning that you're going to press it whenever you wouldn't normally, and won't press it whenever you normally would. This is going to force you to play not only with more air, but also to exaggerate the position of each note to get it to speak in the right octave. Because if you don't blow enough air or your air direction isn't correct, you will not get the right note out of the horn. Obviously, if you want to improve your ability to play the low notes on a saxophone, you really want to focus on the middle and lower register and practice them with octave key. I suggest that you start with the open C sharp, with octave key for the purpose of the exercise of course, and then play a descending chromatic scale because it is going to become harder and harder and you'll probably not even be able to get the low B flat to speak with the octave key pressed. but whenever playing normally afterwards again, you should really feel the difference and how much easier it became. So here's the final example for this video. Alright, so that's already it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting and subscribing. Let me know what you want me to discuss in my next video in the comments down below. You can find my alto setup as well as a link to my Instagram at Joris in the description down below. And I will see you in the next one. Peace!